Hi everyone, it's Grace. Welcome back to my channel. So in last week's video, I provided you with the latest trend in the labor market, and that is I think the Great Resignation is over, and in 2023 is going to be a return to the office trend. And I'm going to provide a link here so you can check out that video. So for today's video, I want to share with you 3 important charts that's showing the current trend in the housing market. All right, so before we begin today's video, remember to subscribe to my channel and click on the bell button so you'll get notified immediately when new videos are uploaded. Also, feel free to give this video a thumbs up if you find it useful. Please also consider contributing to my channel either through PayPal, Cash App, Zelle, or QuickPay. And I'll provide links in a link tree in the description down below. Thank you so much for your support. All right, so the first chart that I want to share with you, and if you have never been to my channel before, this is actually one of the most famous charts that I show on my Tableau profile and on my videos all the time. However, this time I'm actually showing the median price for the sales to listing price ratio in all of the US metro areas just 2 months ago in October 2022. So this ratio basically tells you a very important thing. How many cities in the US right now are still having properties that are sold above asking price? All right, so in the middle, as you can see, it's actually at 1. That means the sellers actually able to sell their properties exactly at listing price, and the buyers are not trying to negotiate up or down, right? So anything below 1 means that the sellers actually have to take a price cut in order to sell that property. So that is a direct impact from the rising mortgage rate, which is now near 6.33% for the 30-year fixed mortgage rate. Right. And for the other end, as you can see here, it's in the orange tone or yellow tone. So that is over 1. So anything above the 1 ratio means that the sellers are able to sell above asking price, and buyers have to pay a little bit more in order to buy a property. So in this map in general, you can see a lot of these cities are actually in that light yellow tone or beige tone. So some of these cities are exactly at 1. So what does that mean? This could be one of 2 things. So the first thing, it could be that the sellers are being a lot more realistic when they're trying to list their price online. You know, they cannot go max out the DCR in order to put a price on a property. And that's the first thing. And the second possibility is that, you know, the buyers are, you know, they're not willing to pay over asking price. They just pay at a price exactly at the listing. So these are the 2 possibilities for some of these cities. For example, in Eugene, Oregon, in Riverside, California, in Albuquerque, New Mexico, right? A lot of the cities actually are exactly at 1. And one of the interesting thing about these cities is that it's actually pretty scattered. But I would say that, for example, in Florida, a lot of the cities are actually taking a kind of downtrend because Florida is actually one of the very hot Sunbelt states during the pandemic boom. And then because of that rising mortgage rate, a lot of these sellers are actually being a little bit more realistic when it comes to the listing price. All right, so they do have to come down a little bit, little by little, just to get that property sold, because the rising mortgage rate does mean that the buyers need to pay a lot more in interest in order to sell, in order to buy a property. All right, and some of these areas are actually located in a northeastern part of the U.S. and some parts of the Midwest as well. All right, we're also seeing that it's scattered pretty much in this area as well, but generally, I would say that in the Sunbelt states, the price are having a correction right now, but it also has to depend on the situation. For example, if you're looking at Georgia, North Carolina, Tennessee, and some of the other areas, it's a mixed situation. There are places where, for example, in Atlanta, it's exactly at 1, But when you're looking at Charlotte, it comes down a little bit. So the sellers had to cut the price a little bit just to sell that property. Right. So that's the first map. And then the second chart that I want to share with you is in the tree map. All right. So this gives you all of the cities that were still having a above 1% ratio for the sale to list ratio. So that means the sellers were able to sell above asking price. Together, there are 111 cities in this chart. So for Buffalo, New York, the ratio is at 1.05%. So that means any kind of listing in general in this area, buyers are willing to bid, right? But this is the situation back in last October. So as you can see, there are a lot more cities in this map. All right. For example, we're seeing some of these states, some of these areas in California, in Oregon, and in North Carolina that are having an above asking price situation. So that situation favored the sellers quite a lot because of the super low mortgage rate back then, which was near 2.8 to 3% for the 30-year fixed mortgage rate. And as you can see, some of these areas include the Sunbelt states and also quite scattered in different cities, right? So the third map that we're seeing right now is the situation in October 2022. So just 2 months ago. As you can see, a lot fewer cities are able to sell above asking price. So what used to be 111 cities, now there are only 23 cities that are able to sell above asking price. So that's an 80% drop. As you can imagine, sellers are quickly losing that negotiation power when it comes to sell above asking price. They're not able to do that anymore. And to my surprise, a lot of the cities that are still appearing in this chart are actually located mostly in the northeastern part of the U.S. There are some areas that are still above asking price. For example, in Goldsboro, North Carolina, Greensboro, Carolina, you're also able to see that buyers are able and are willing to pay a little bit over asking price, all right? But the number shrink significantly. That does mean, the mortgage rate does have a huge impact on the housing market, all right? So a number of things that I also want to mention. For example, you're also seeing that Rochester, Buffalo are still on the list, and they're also on the list back in the second chart for October 2021. So why is that a lot of these northeastern part of the US, they're still able to have this above asking price situation? So this also means one or two things are happening. The first thing is that it's having a reverse migration situation. So remember when the pandemic boom is happening from the middle of 2020 to just 2 months ago, right? So in a period of about 2.5 years, the mortgage rate was super low. And then a lot of people are willing to move from the northern states, from the west, from the Midwest, or anywhere else to the southern states, right? So the pandemic boom also meant that the Sunbelt states were very popular during this time. However, as people return to work, right, return to the traditional metropolitan areas, I'm not saying all of them, but some of them are returning to the office, this reverse migration is also taking place. So that's one reason why, some of these northeastern cities are actually appearing in this chart. And the second reason is because the migration pattern is also reversed from suburban areas to the urban areas. All right. So those are the two possibilities. All right. So for today's video, I'm going to publish these three charts on my website and also Tableau profile. And I'm going to provide the links in the description of this video as well. All right. So remember to check them out. As usual, if you have any questions relating to investment, when is a good time, and location wise, always send me an email so we can discuss more. All right. Thank you so much for watching today's video, and I'll see you on the next one.